I'd like to first introduce David Berman. David Berman has 30 years of experience in design and communications and has worked extensively in the adaptation of printed materials for electronic distribution, including accessible web and PDF, and as well as that, software interface development. David is a fellow of the Society of Graphic Designers and as an expert speaker, author, designer, communications strategist, and consultant, David's professional work has taken him to over 50 countries. His most recent book is Do Good Design, published by Pearson. In 2012, David was appointed chair of Carleton Access Network, a committee on accessible information technology at Carleton's READ Education, Accessibility, and Design Initiative.
You know, before we begin, I want to remind ourselves that this gathering is taking place on the traditional land of the Iroquois people. And you know, we tend to think when we talk about accessibility, it almost goes without saying that we're talking about accessibility for people with disabilities. And yet, for a good part of the world, accessibility of the internet is just a matter of having the internet. Bruce Mao, another designer from right here in Toronto, asked us this question: now that we can do anything, what will we choose to do? Ottawa, where I'm from, which is because our federal government was the first in the world to go deep with web accessibility. And Toronto, both Ottawa and Toronto are in the top 8 cities globally. So we here in Ontario are ground zero for accessibility. Now, we, of course, why? I mean, we Canadians, we're kind of famous for exporting good governance. We're really good at showing the world how we can create a civilization where no one gets left behind. And so we tend to think of the reason for embracing accessibility is just simply the right thing to do. But in fact, I've found there's 5 reasons to really focus on accessibility, good business reasons. And the first one is there's just so many of us. You know, so there's so many people to reach, and we don't want to leave anyone behind, that are accessible. You know, Google, the Google Spider, the Google search engine has the cognitive ability of perhaps a 3.5-year-old. And if we want Google to give us high results as well as accurate results, we're going to get better search results if we structure our websites according to these rules of accessibility, which Brittany and George are going to go deeper with. The third reason is it's good HR. If we want to attract and retain the best people, would we want to leave behind potentially 90% or even 8% of the candidates? No, we want the best people working in our organizations. And of course, if we use our websites and our documents day to day, then of course we can't include everyone unless everyone can access them in terms of helping develop them and access them. The fourth reason, it's just the right thing to do. It's we're proud to not leave anyone behind. But it's this fifth reason, this AODA, that kind of brings us together today. And Brittany will be going into the details of it. But the thing that compels us here in Ontario is that we happen to live in a province that decided to take the most courageous, most far-reaching approach to online accessibility, as well as accessibility in the physical space in the history of civilization. And that's pretty awesome. That's something to be quite proud of. Now, I just chose a random website just to see what's probably. We're thinking our organization perhaps should join the CMA, and so I thought, okay, how do you join the CMA? Well, there's the membership link up there. So I thought, okay, I'll go to the membership link. The thing is, I don't see color very well, so I'm going to show you what the CMA website looks like if you take all the color out of it. 10% of the men in Ontario can't see color. So you want to join the CMA, you want the membership link. Where's that? Okay, it's over here. So I finally figured out, I chose the membership link, and then I got to this page. And I get there also, if I say join CMA, I also get to the same link. But I started looking down the page, and I'm thinking, where do you go to actually join? So here's the actual site. So I'm looking where to join. Where do you join? Where do you join? Where do you join? Where do you join? I think it's a marketing organization. They're probably really good at making sure I join, making sure my organization joins. And I couldn't find it. Now, you folk who are really good at seeing red probably know that this thing is here. But you see, when I don't see that, and there's no underline there to give me a cue, I just see that's part of a paragraph when determining your decision to join CMA. So we tend to think of web accessibility in the terms of extremes. We tend to think of someone who's never seen in their lives, someone who can't hear at all, someone who's in a wheelchair, someone who's a quadriplegic, and yet the vast majority of disabilities are far more subtle, and they affect us each day. So when we're talking about opportunities for marketing, and we realize that something as simple as just changing the color of this phrase means 10% more people can join our organization, it's really good news. Because if we can make small adjustments like this and increase our reach, why wouldn't we? And indeed we can. And indeed most of the things we need to do are fairly subtle. So here in Ontario, we are moving forward with our deadlines. And yet there's other people come along for the ride. So Manitoba, for instance, has just passed legislation. They haven't set their deadlines yet, but they've got legislation. BC is working on legislation. Nova Scotia is working on legislation. And yet here in Ontario, we have the ability, we have the opportunity to show everyone how it's done. And not just in Canada, but globally. I think this is an opportunity for marketing professionals in Ontario to lead the world. We're already finding we have people from around the continent and from Europe, from Asia, from Australia contacting us because they realize that here in Ontario, we know how to get this done. We're years ahead of them. And as different parts of the world come online, these dates are very valuable to us. Now, here in Toronto, typical traffic signal with the typical, on the left, I got the green for go and the red for stop. Now, if I just press my button here, I disappear all the color. So this is what someone with a full color deficit experiences when they approach traffic signal at night. And you know what the largest source of accidental death is in Ontario? It's traffic accidents, especially those that take place at these signals, because we're relying only on color in our design, which is a mistake. Now, in Quebec, I'm from Ontario, but I'm from Ottawa, and we're on the edge of Quebec, and we just cross over the river. Most of the traffic signals in Quebec look like this. Not just relying on color, but also relying on the number of lamps and the shape of the lamps. So we're still using color, red, green. The legacy users get it. You drive to Quebec, you say, you're not confused, I get it. But everyone enjoys these more because we're not relying just on one color. And, you know, as we work with, now a more extreme case of this, I blogged about this recently, we want to read deeply about it, but basically the idea is this: I was in Massachusetts, Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I found they have these lamps downtown if you want to turn left. So what is that lamp supposed to say? What does it mean? The third screen was the laptop screen, the computer screen, and a lot of people have true interactions. But the fourth screen, the one where the majority of humanity is going to have their first experience online, is the mobile screen. And it's this mobile screen that 70% of humanity will enjoy the internet for the first time, is where the true opportunity comes to us for accessibility.